CBS presents this program in color.
48 hours. We take you there.
How would you like to be remembered?
A treasure from television history.
I think it's an F natural is what is needed. I do believe.
CBS News spent 6 months with Frank Sinatra, 6 months as he lived them.
It was a very good year.
In the recording studio,
It was a very good year for a small town girl.
Goes with a swinging year.
It was a very good year for...
on the movie set,
Here we go, rolling. Go, Frank.
It's a little hot.
riding high with his Rat Pack.
Well, how many more you think he's going to do, Sam? I don't know, but he sure sing good for a white fella.
And after hours with family and friends,
It came like this, and he stood like this.
you'll hear from the voice in his own words.
Bogart, when he was alive, once told me, the only thing you owe the public is a good performance.
A CBS News exclusive, an intimate portrait of the man and his music.
I would like to be remembered as a man who had a wonderful time living his life. I don't think I could ask for anything more than that, actually.
Sinatra, living with the legend.
Dial 102.
I'm Dan Rather, and this is 48 Hours. The studio is empty. The voice has been stilled. But for the next hour, the legend of Frank Sinatra will come alive again in a rarely seen piece of television history. We'll begin in a moment with the voice at work in the recording studio.
When I was 17, it was a very good year. It was a very good year for small town girls and soft summer nights. You make me feel so young. You make me feel like spring has sprung. Every time I see you grin, I'm such a happy individual. The moment
Good evening.
that you speak.
With his death 1 week ago, Frank Sinatra left a legacy of music and memories, enough to make him arguably the most popular and enduring singer of this century. You're about to see why. 33 years ago, CBS News spent 6 months with Sinatra in the studio and on the road with his friends and family. The camera captured him as never before, and the result was broadcast November 16th, 1965. It was the year of LBJ and the Civil Rights March on Selma, Vietnam, and the year of Bonanza. Another time, to be sure. Tonight, in a broadcast reported by Walter Cronkite, produced by Don Hewitt, and written by Andy Rooney, we'll take an extraordinary journey back into Sinatra's world.
Can you play the coda one more time and listen to 2 bars before the end and the strings? Something,
The last chorus?
there's a clam in there, I think. The coda, the last 4 measures. Listen in the bar before the last bar, I think.
There seems to be some doubt about whether you're going to play F natural or F sharp in there. It's F natural.
I think it's an F natural is what is needed. I do believe. If it don't say it on a paper, don't play it.
Making records is not only what he likes to do best, it is his chief claim to fame and source of fortune.
But now the days are short.
The last chorus.
I'm in the autumn of the year. And now I think of my life as vintage wine from fine old kegs. But now the days are short, I'm in the autumn of the year. I think I swallowed a shot glass. Listen,
Jack?
Lowell,
Must be playing the viola. Nobody
if any popping of peas, let's stop. Because there were too many the peas popping in the past dates we did. Can you clear those up a little bit?
Yeah, if they don't thump. If they're a real thump, I can't.
Well, I don't thump, you know. I'm a sneaky pea popper.
I'll stop you.
All right. So we try one? Yeah. Can we make one? I think I'm much more a singer than I am a crooner. In the days of Russ Colombo and Rudy Valley, I think that they were rightly termed crooners because they had very small, soft voices. They were very good at it, but when Bing came along, he was more of a singer. And I think through the years, most of us have begun to execute more singing than we did crooning, rather than being nasal or making cow-like sounds of moves and those utterances, you know.
When I was 17, it was a very good year. It was a very good year for small-town girls and soft summer nights. We'd hide from the lights on the village green. When I was 17.
Sinatra performs best for a live audience. There are always friends and friends of friends to fill the small cheering section in a recording studio.
When I was 21, it was a very good year. It was a very good year for city girls who lived up the stair with all that perfumed hair. And it came undone when I was 21. When I was 35, it was a very good year. It was a very good year for blue-blooded girls of independent means. We'd ride in limousines. Their chauffeurs would drive when I was 35.
The biggest complaint I have about a lot of the kids who sing today is that I can't understand what they're saying. If I could only understand some of the words, I might be more interested in what they're doing, but I can't, there's no enunciation and there's no clarity of diction.
But now the days are short. I'm in the autumn of the year. And now I think of my life as vintage wine from fine old kegs. From the brim to the dregs, it poured sweet and clear. It was a very good year.
like to hear it.
What's the time on that? How long? 3:20? 4:12. That's longer than the first act of Hamlet.
The length of a song is critical to its success.
Can we hear it?
Disc jockeys don't like long numbers. Short songs can be used to separate more commercials. Sinatra the businessman knows this. Right now, Sinatra the artist is more concerned with how he sang it. His aim, he says, is to use his voice like a musical instrument. And people who understand music hear sounds that no one else makes when Sinatra sings.
I heard the Kingston Trio singing on a car radio one day. I said, gee, that's great for the album.
When I was 35, it was a very good year.
Goes with a swinging year.
It was a very good year for blue-blooded girls of independent means. We'd ride in limousines. Their chauffeurs would drive. When I was 35.
He has an appealing enthusiasm for the life he has lived, and when he sings, he makes it sound as though it all happened to him. It probably did all happen to him.
But now the days are short. I'm in the autumn of the year, and now I think of my life as vintage wine from fine old kegs, from the brim to the dregs. It poured sweet and clear. It was a very good year.
It hasn't always been a very good year. That part of the Sinatra story in a moment.
Yes.
You know, there are quite contradictory stories about your childhood. There's this kind of general version of the near slum conditions in Hoboken. And then there are others. There was an article some years ago by a very good magazine writer who said that this isn't so, that your family was not necessarily destitute.
He is partially right about my general upbringing. I never wanted for anything, but we did not have an abundance of anything. It was a semi-slum area. It was typical of the middle 20s and the late 20s and through the Depression. And it was pretty rough, but I've read and been told, or rather asked questions concerning gang wars and so on and so forth. Well, there weren't gang wars, but there were beefs and there were battles about position and who should cross the line into where we lived and cross the line into where they lived, you see. And I must say there were many times when I had to go on an errand that I skirted certain areas of the town, you know, because the cry went up, kill the Dago when he comes through the corner of town.
By the late 1940s, the kid from Hoboken who stepped off the Paramount stage into fame and fortune was getting too big for his britches. Separated from his wife Nancy, he pursued Ava Gardner across a couple of continents. He divorced Nancy, married Ava, divorced her. He was wearing his fame badly, and his fortune appeared to be running out.
I wasn't paying enough attention to my job at the time. I think I was tired. It's not an excuse, it's a fact. I think I was weary because I had worked tremendously for the years preceding that period, worked constantly, 300 days a year or more in many instances. And I was traveling constantly and just doing all kinds of work. And I had a personal problem, which I will not go into. When I was ready and I had had enough rest, or I took time to have all of the cobwebs blown out of my head, I went back to work. I changed record companies, changed attorneys, changed accountants, changed picture companies, and changed my clothes, and just went right back to work again.
In 1953, Sinatra headed back to the top in From Here to Eternity.
Mess with me, fat stuff, and I'll bust you up.
You must be in a hurry for trouble, Wop.
Gentlemen, you know I will not...
This little Mussolini here is trying to tell me how to play the
bust
piano.
my ears off with the stinking noise.
He literally pleaded for the part of Maggio, and when he got it, he made the most of it. There were those who said he not only played Maggio, he was Maggio. Gum-chewing, fast-talking, hat-on-the-back-of-the-head wise guy. If the only thing he owed the public was a good performance, this was the first one he had delivered in a long time. Maggio won him an Oscar, and his earnings per picture jumped from $8,000 to $200,000. Sinatra was back. Not all of Sinatra's performances have been on film, and his personal life has been reviewed more often than his movies. The bad press that had dogged him through his dark days followed him into the light, and if stories about him suggested he was enjoying all of the excesses available to a man with power and money, it did not seem to matter to his followers. It may have accounted for some of them.
What I do with my life is of my own doing. I live it the best way I can. I've been criticized on many, many occasions because of acquaintances and what have you, but I don't do those things to have anybody follow me in doing that same thing, is what I mean.
Do you think your boiling point is low?
Not anymore. It used to be. I think that comes with a normal growing up and the way of living, friends, people with whom you become acquainted. I've always admired people who are gentle and who have great patience.
There were always stories that Sinatra was a quick man with his fists, that he had struck several newsmen.
Not true, no. The only time I had any physical contact with a newspaper man was a man who's now dead, who said some pretty nasty things about me in a column for about 2 years, and they were all gross lies. And that didn't bother me so much until he once said several things to me in person. And I reached the boiling point, and it was all over. It was an unfortunate incident, but frankly, if he were alive and he'd said it again, I would do it again, because he was just that kind of a man. But otherwise, all of that is a gross lie. All of this physical jazz is nothing. It doesn't mean anything. I've had people say to me in public places, you're really a tough guy. And it was so foreign that I was, in the beginning, when I first started to get it, I thought, I was really shocked. I thought, well, what started all of this thing? Trying to think to myself, what started all this thing? Then came the ridiculous accusations and statements that I was consorting with mobsters and gangsters, and that added fire to it after a while. And I just kept resenting it all the time, but I just couldn't stop it. There was no way to stop it.
In 1963, that subject was back in the news. The state of Nevada cast a first stone and forced Sinatra to sever any connections he had with gambling casinos in that state. An underworld character who had been blacklisted by the state's gaming board was discovered on the premises of Sinatra's Cal Neva Lodge. That story and his involvement in other interests in Las Vegas didn't help that new image he'd been trying to create. I asked him about that.
The fact that I used to be involved was a legitimate business reason. We built a hotel in Las Vegas, and finally there was so much work to be done of my own natural vocation, pictures, singing, recording, that I just dropped all of the fringes of businesses. But I do meet all kinds of people in the world because of the of the natural habitat from day to day in theatrical work, in nightclub work, in concerts, or wherever I might be, in restaurants. You meet all kinds of people. So that there's really not much to be said about that, and I think the less said, the better.
The press also jumped on him for the campaign help he gave his friend John F. Kennedy. Some claim Sinatra and what was called the Klan was too involved, had imposed themselves on the Kennedys.
Nobody got involved directly with the family or with the policy making of the campaign, because that wasn't our affair. It didn't concern us. We were just real rabid rooters. We were giving it the college try is basically what the whole thing was all about.
Sinatra has said that if the press reports world news as it reports him, we are all in trouble. But few people are ever represented to their own satisfaction by the people who write about them. For whatever truth or untruth lies beneath these headlines, it is probable that no one who has been exposed to the public as much as Frank Sinatra has is much different than the public thinks he is. His daughter, Nancy.
Daddy loses his temper, it's headlines. The fact that he raises millions of dollars for underprivileged children all over the world by giving of his time and his own money, that doesn't rate headlines. But if he gets angry and has an argument with someone, headlines. So you figure it out. I don't understand it at all.
We asked Sinatra if he didn't feel that he had a responsibility to his millions of fans.
Yes, I believe so. Bogart, when he was alive, once told me, we were rather good friends through the years, and he said, the only thing you owe the public is a good performance.
In other words, I love you.
Just ahead,
Yes.
staying loose with a legend.
Here we go, roll egg.
At the top of his game.
In other words, I love.
It was 1965. Frank Sinatra, then at the height of his career, almost 50, agreed to let CBS News conduct an exclusive interview. He also gave permission for our cameras to follow him as he performed. The result became an unforgettable television portrait of one of the greatest entertainers of the 20th century. Here again is Walter Cronkite.
With all my soul.
Any good artist makes it look easy. Sinatra's effortless delivery of a song comes after long hours of hard work. On the set of a movie, he takes his coffee break, practicing the numbers he'll make at his next record date. He believes that the discipline he exerts over his lungs and his vocal cords gives a sense of continuity to his songs.
A heaven, mine and yours.
Everything Sinatra does except sing is a sideline. He has appeared in about 30 motion pictures, and he enjoys the work and the money, but it takes second place to his music.
It's a little hot. Yes. Save the arc while he's doing this, and then light it for the reading. Save your camera light a minute.
This is the set of his most recent pot boiler, Marriage on the Rocks, with Deborah Carr.
Oh, that's tender.
When he works, there are always people on hand to make it as easy for him as possible, ready to satisfy any desire.
Yes.
Just take a deep one. Breathe.
Now we're all right. Here we go. Roll egg. Go, Frank.
The product of a day's work.
Cut.
Did Mother invite you?
Yes, she did, baby. Well, I gotta go. I got things to do. Bye-bye, Coffee.
That's what I mean. She did it marvelous.
Yeah.
The reaction is good. The confusion in her face is very good.
Right.
Very good. 340 miles
miles an hour, so it's turboprop, and it cost $1,300,000 against it.
It only seats 8 people.
That I don't understand.
It only seats 8.
There's no scheduled airline that would take Sinatra to the unlikely places he goes at the unlikely times he wants to go there. One of the unlikely places Sinatra wanted to get to was Lorton Penitentiary near Washington, D.C.
Fly me to the moon. Let me play among those stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars.
The prison chaplain had asked him to come and sing for the inmates. He not only came, he brought the whole Count Basie band with him. At this affluent point in his career, he responds more quickly to the request for a benefit performance than to the opportunity to make money.
Fill my heart with song. Let me sing forevermore, because you are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true. In other words, I love you.
I like being with the public under almost any circumstance, regardless of where it is or why, so that I do my utmost to fulfill that responsibility as a performer and as a man in public life.
He can make any audience feel he's their kind of guy.
Why don't you fly me to the moon? Play among those stars. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true. In other words, I love you.
Anything Sinatra does is the in thing to do. Any place he goes is the place to go. In New York, he's chosen a less than plush night spot run by an old friend, Jilly Rizzo. His first wife, Nancy, is at the far end of the table. He frequently goes out with her and their two daughters.
This is Nancy. This is Mark. Stanley's wife. We give it to the motion picture relief home or equity, any place, whatever.
If it's in to go to Jilly's, you can't get much more in than to be invited to Sinatra's table. It's the one in back, near the kitchen door, up against the air conditioner. And if you're ever invited, don't take the old imitation leather armchair. It's reserved for Frank. When Frank isn't in town, Jilly puts it away.
He says misery is when you're riding in a subway at 4 o'clock in the morning and the cop in your car moonlights as a mugger.
One of the people who doesn't always think the nights out are funny is his daughter, Nancy.
When you have a daddy, you kind of want him to be a daddy all the time. And sometimes, when he's with his friends, they carry on like a bunch of kids. And it's great, they're having a marvelous time. But that bothers me a little.
Sinatra continues in a moment.
We throw them at the audience, and you just fade. Just keep throwing pies at the audience.
Tonight.
For the opening of the show, which will be shot after the show is shot.
Why are we going so slow, driver?
The police have...
Sammy Davis, Frank Sinatra, and Dean Martin are close friends. The thing they have in common is talent. They are in St. Louis on their way to perform at a benefit for Dismas Fund, a charity that helps rehabilitate former convicts. It was named after Father Dismas, a man affectionately known as the Hoodlum Priest.
Do it on the same day, the one day that you work, so it works easy for everybody. Because the opening of the show
Starts out with just shot me, it don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. Basic.
The real test of an entertainer is how he does in front of a live audience. When Sinatra and his friends are together, Joey Bishop says, wit replaces conversation.
Of course, I don't want you to get all sweated up and all that kind of stuff. And of course, I know.
Not as nervous as I am.
Johnny Carson joined the group for this performance.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Dismas House, I present our hoodlum singer.
This is what they came for, Frank Sinatra, live and in person.
I've got you under my skin. I've got you deep in the heart of me. So deep in my heart that you're really a part of me. I've got you under my skin.
In a grown-up's world, he was a teenager's idol. Today, in a teenager's world, he's a grown-up's idol. Many of them remember who they were and where they were by what Frank Sinatra song was popular at the time.
But why should I try to resist when, baby, I know damn well that I've got you under my skin. I would sacrifice anything, come what might, for the sake of having you near, in spite of a warning voice. Comes in the night, it repeats. Yeah. Don't you know, you fool, there ain't no chance to win. Why don't you use your mentality? Stand up to reality. Just the thought of you makes me stop just before I begin. Because I've got you under my skin. And you grab me under my skin.
Yeah. Sing it again, I didn't hear it. Well, how many more you think he's gonna do, Sam? I don't know, but he sure sing good for a white fella, don't he?
You make me feel so young. You make me feel like spring has sprung. Every time I see you grin, I'm such a happy individual. The moment that you speak, I want to go play hide and seek. I want to go and bounce the moon just like a toy balloon. You and I, we are just like a couple of tots running around the meadow, picking up all those forget-me-nots. You make me feel so young. You make me feel there are songs to be sung, bells to be rung, and a wonderful fling to be flung. And even when I'm old and gray, I'm gonna feel the way I do today, because you make me feel so young.
Sinatra seldom sings a new song. He sticks with the winners.
You make me young. You make me feel like spring sprung.
Yes?
Every time I see you grin.
What happened?
I'm such a happy individual. The moment that you speak,
What do I say?
I want to go play hide and seek. I want to go and bounce the moon, just like a big balloon, because you and I, we are just like a couple of tots, and we're running around the meadow, snatching up all those forget-me-nots. You make me young. You make me feel there are songs to be sung, bells to be rung, and a wonderful fling to be flung. And even when I'm old and gray, I'm gonna feel the way I do today, because you make me feel so, ooh, I just feel so. You make me feel so
More! Get him the hell off of that. More! Keep singing it till you get it right, baby.
Sam, I got an idea.
I'd like to thank the NAACP for this wonderful trophy. Put me down!
The appeal of these three is their ability to make the audience feel in, to feel that what Sammy Davis, Dean Martin, and Frank Sinatra are doing on stage to amuse them are the same things they do off stage to amuse each other.
Sam. Hey, Sam.
Mr. Chairman!
No, not here. No, not here. No, that's for another 4 years. Hey, Sam.
Yes.
You did some singing impressions. How about coming over here and doing a couple of the actors that you do? You know those marvelous people on the screen?
Yes,
I like those things, you know.
Why don't you
like
do some of
Lionel
those,
Barrymore
Sam?
and all that kind of
Well,
stuff.
do we have time to do
Oh, we
those?
have plenty of time, Bobby.
Yes, wonderful.
I think we just bought the building. I'm not sure.
This is probably one of my favorites. I love doing it, so if I may. Jimmy Cagney.
You dirty rat. All you want me to do is take the 50 G's while you play potsies with the cops. Is that so? You did it to my brother in the back. I'm going to do it to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States. Mr. How do you get Mr. Lyndon B. Johnson? Mr. President.
You dirty rat. You get off of there. You hit Lady Bird with an 8-iron.
Oh, I tell you, if we ever get in the lead, you two cats are first.
Even at $100 a ticket, everyone had a good time.
Punch you right in your mouth.
And no one had a better time than the performers. The actors' joy in their own performance is communicated to the crowd, that old black magic. Once again, Sinatra and friends have established that rare rapport that can be made to exist between entertainer and audience. What is there about Sinatra that gives him this magic quality? We ask author and social historian Leo Roston.
It's not just his talent, it's not just his voice that makes him a star. It's his supreme self-assurance and his absolute control. He has an animal tension, a suggestion of violence, even of danger, of a temper that might break through. And then he has that unexpected and disarming grin. And he's got an undertone of irony, of bite, which is very rare in a popular singer. I think that the final test of a performer is his after effect. I mean, what happens after the performance is over? How much impact has he registered? The song ends, but he leaves the air charged. He's got voltage.
Must be a lady. Luck be a lady tonight.
In a moment.
How would you like to be remembered? Be remembered.
Well, I think I would like to be remembered as a man who brought an innovation to popular singing, a peculiar, unique fashion that I wish one of these days somebody would learn to do so it doesn't die where it is. I would like to be remembered as a man who had a wonderful time living his life and who had good friends, fine family. And I don't think I could ask for anything more than that, actually.
Frank Sinatra rarely gave television interviews after that, and never again did he let cameras follow him so closely. It's difficult to find words for Sinatra's art. He said it all with music, and that voice belongs to anyone of any generation who has known love or loneliness or lived with a heart full of high hopes. That may be why any year in which we can hear the voice and relive those songs is, in its own way, a very good year.
And now I think of my life as vintage wine from fine.
I'm Dan Rather, and that's 48 Hours.
From the brim to the dregs, it poured sweet and clear.
Tonight, your fun and music are right here with Dave, Ted Danson, the Flatlanders, and a whole lot more. But first, your local news.
The nation tries to come to terms with yet another school shooting. We'll take you to Springfield, Oregon. We'll also tell you why some local school officials say a get tough policy on threatening talk may save lives. Plus, a reunion at the border will take you there.
Ahoy there, a champagne christening of a grand lady. News 4 tonight starts right here, right now.